Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back to the show. Great to have you here. Looking forward to getting into today's topic, and that is the 5 stages of fasting and what exactly is going on inside of your body during that time. I think you're going to be pretty amazed at what's happening over the 12-hour, 18-hour, 24-hour, 48-hour, and 72-hour time frame. So different things happen in the body at different times, and if you want to be able to maximize the fat burning, the energy, the mood, the decrease in grogginess, the improvement in mitochondria, the cellular cleanup for Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, etc., you're going to want to understand these specific principles. So I just came off of my quarterly functional medicine detox, which essentially gives you almost 72 hours for those people in our community. Those people have done it before. You're getting essentially the maximum 72-hour autophagy benefits right there, or fasting-based benefits, but there's so much more to it, and that's why I wanted to do this show specifically for you today. So what I did, and what many people do, they're going on this specific liquid-based fast. That's why it doesn't have to be complete just water. I'm going to share that just a little bit more with you here today, but really trying to get into those 5 phases. So what happens, though, is when you're moving through the different stages, different things are happening in your body, and that's why if you're not taking advantage of it, you might not be able to get those anti-aging, wellness, weight loss benefits that you're looking for. And again, someone like me, I've met my goal weight a few years back. I'm where I want to be. So yeah, I'll lose a little bit of weight. There's no doubt about it during some of these 7-day functional medicine detoxes that I do, but I'm able to put that weight back on should I choose to. So not really an issue there. What I'm looking for are the wellness and anti-aging benefits that compound over time. So what I want to do today is I want you to head over to stephencabral.com/1818. And here's why. I'm going to link up a couple of previous podcasts that I think are essential for you to know more about fasting and to do it properly, because you don't want to just do this willy-nilly, as they say. You really don't. You want to be able to do it carefully. You want to do it in a smart way. And I just want to make sure that you maximize your benefits and you minimize your downsides. So I think it was just last week, if I'm pulling up my show notes here, the 4 types of fasts every human should be doing. That's the one, no doubt about it. Check out that one after this show. So if you didn't listen to episode 1811, we will link that up for you today. And you know what? I'll link up all the previous fasting shows as well. We have a whole new fasting podcast category dedicated to that. Because what I really want to do right now is I want to spend our time going through these 5 stages. Super essential that you know what is going on with your body and your health. Remember, you can't rely on your doctor. You can't rely on even the best coaches, because they're just not with you all the time. You need to know about your own health. There's just nothing more important. Without your health, you don't have energy. Without energy, you're in a bad mood. You're in a low mood. You have no ambition. You're not moving forward in your life. You're not getting the maximum that you can out of this life. So stay healthy, and you can do that. Remember, there's an answer for everybody, and fasting is such a big part of it, which is why I've been doing a few shows lately just on fasting. So the 5 stages, let's get right into it. The first stage is this. This is at the 12-hour stage. This is the stage that everybody should be getting to, except for that small percentage of people with hypoglycemia and adrenal-based issues, okay? Besides that, small percentage of people. I used to be part of that, so I know that they're there, but everybody should be getting in at least a 12-hour fast every single day. I talked about that last week on episode 1811. I won't go beyond that today, but here's the thing. 12 hours every single day. It's so easy. Even if you stopped eating at 7 o'clock at night, just go till 7 o'clock in the morning the next day. Because at this point, at 12 hours, what's going on inside your body? Well, your body overnight started to tap into what? More glucose from the body, starting to deplete glucose as it needed to. And it's also starting to use body fat as much more of a fuel source. So I want to clarify this as well. We always like to think that our bodies just burning body fat or just burning sugar. It doesn't work that way, right? Or glucose, we'll call it. Glucose, sugar, glycogen. I'll just use them all interchangeably today. And I'll just state one other caveat here, is that your liver, which is this organ underneath the right side of your rib cage. I wish I had my little model right over there for you today, but he's out of reach right now. But that liver, and it's a big organ, right? It's a big organ in the body, but that liver holds, at least for most people, about 90 grams of stored, let's just call it sugar, of glycogen. That means you have supplies, okay? So before you ever start making, producing a lot of ketones and those types of things, your body says, hey, I have this sugar in reserve. And that's not a bad thing. Believe me, your brain is using probably more than half at any given time. You're using a lot of glucose as a fuel source. Now, I know a lot of people saying, but it can use ketones. It can. I'm not saying that it can't. We're going to get to that in just a second. Stay with me. So here's the thing. Your body, though, starts to use, as your body hasn't gotten any food, any carbs, any protein, it starts to dip in blood sugar, and it will start to tap into some of those glycogen reserves in the liver. Great. So we can start to use that to just maintain a normal blood sugar level. Again, it's not going to spike your own blood sugar. It's going to maintain a normal level, but at the same time, start tapping into greater amounts of body fat. That's a good thing. And small amounts of autophagy will take place. A lot of times we think we need to reach a certain number, and we'll get to that in a moment, of hours fasted before we get into autophagy. It's actually not the case. Your body is cleaning up. It is. And if you don't know about autophagy, I'll link up at least one show for you today at 1818. But you can always just go to stevencabral.com/podcasts. And once you're there, there's a search box. Just scroll a little bit down. Type in autophagy. It's just spelled AUTOPHAGY, autophagy, okay? Autophagy means autophagocytosis, and that is basically cellular cleanup, okay? That's how it works. Your body's going in, I always like to say like Pac-Woman or Pac-Man, and cleaning house, just getting rid of the garbage, using it as fuel. So we're gonna be talking about that. So at 12 hours, that's what's happening. That's the first stage. Everyone should be reaching that on a daily basis, okay? That's important. Now, the next stage is 18 hours. Most people aren't fasting 18 hours a day, nor should they be every single day. Not every single day, okay? But there are specific fasts that you can do once a week, like my one-day reset diet. I will link up that show here today. Again, head over to stevencabral.com/1818, and my team will link up the one-day reset diet, because you can reach the first 3 stages just with this every single week, just one day a week. That's it. But what happens at 18 hours? Cellular cleanup, okay? Cellular cleanup. Now autophagy begins to kick in. What does cellular cleanup mean? Well, bacteria, amino acids that shouldn't be there, all sorts of, because I want to say cellular waste. So here's the thing, without getting too deep into cellular biology, your body is turning over red blood cells every 120 days maximum inside your body, okay? What happens is they go through something called cellular apoptosis. That means inside of the cell, there is programmed cell death, okay? Now, that's not a bad thing, because there has to be a breakdown stage. We talked about this on a previous podcast as well, about AMPK and mTOR, okay? I'll be getting into more of that in just a moment. But what happens is the body has a anabolic stage building up, that's mTOR, and then it has more of a catabolic stage breaking down, that's the APK. So AMPK, sorry. So what happens during that is that there is a cleanup stage where the body begins to say, oh, I'm not building up right now, I'm actually breaking things down, cleaning up. That's not a bad thing. But what happens is when these cells go through apoptosis, and I can actually see it under a microscope, what happens is all of that needs to be cleaned up, needs to be removed from the body. That's part of normal cellular process. So this is what's happening. Also, at that 18-hour mark, the body actually begins, and this is a really nice process as well. This is just the beginning stages, but the body will begin to go through mitochondrial apoptosis, getting rid of the weak mitochondria inside of the cell. Those are, remember, those mitochondria, I love referring to it, high school biology, as the powerhouses, okay? We need those for energy. We need those for what we will call ATP production, right? Adenosine triphosphate. And that's really important as well. So we need that for cellular energy. So those work with glucose, works with oxygen. Well, what happens though, it doesn't happen until a little bit later, we start to break down the weak ones. Now, the interesting thing is over time, the more we fast actually can create something called mitochondrial biogenesis. And that is the making of new healthy mitochondria. And that allows us now to deal with, what do you think? To deal with the state that we're moving into next. And that's at 24 hours. So the third stage is 24 hours. This is what I call, so every stage has, I give it a name. So at 12 hours, it's the depleting the glucose reserve stage. So we haven't depleted them fully yet, not at all, but we're depleting them out of the liver glycogen reserves. 18 hours, the stage I call it is the cellular cleanup stage. We begin to clean house inside of the body. Get rid of that old cellular debris that's floating around in the interstitial fluid, meaning like between the healthy cells, the interstitial milieu is what we call it. Clean that up so all the good nutrients can come in and get rid of the waste. Remember, you have what, 30 trillion cells in your body? They all create waste. Get rid of that waste. Clean it up. Remember, if you don't have more food coming in, there's not more waste being created. So we get to take that time and get rid of the old waste that's always being created for the body. That's why fasting is so powerful. At 24 hours, I call it mass scale autophagy. At this point, autophagy has fully kicked in. This is really important. That means cellular cleanup is fully kicked in, but also, this is important, AMPK has now overtaken mTOR activity. That means AMPK is on the increase and that mTOR is on the decline. So the body now is becoming more catabolic, less anabolic. That's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing if you're a bodybuilder and you're always looking to put on muscle mass. There's no doubt about it. Believe me, I know there's all sorts of different theories out there. I'll tell you right now, some of the bodybuilders I know used to wake up during the middle of the night and have a protein shake. And although I don't think it's that healthy for you, that's for sure, you are able to produce, you're in a state of higher mTOR. You're in a state of higher anabolism when you're taking in more of those amino acids. There's no doubt about it. I just did a podcast on this if you want the skinny on that, if you want more of the details on that. Let's see if I can find it real quick. And if not, again, I don't want to link up a million podcasts for you, but you can even just go into stevencabral.com/podcasts and type in AMPK or mTOR as well. And I'm sure you'll be able to find it there. And I can't find it right now, but we'll link it up again at 1818 for you. And that's on AMPK and that is on mTOR. That's extremely important because, again, if you are not properly using fasting, it can lead potentially to cancer. And that's really, really important to look at that. But so exercise as well. And I know not a lot of people do this during their fasting, and that's okay. But if you were to exercise during that 24 hours of the fast or right after that, let's say like day 2 on the detox, you can actually begin to increase autophagy at a greater scale. This is seen in initial research right now in mice, but most likely it's going to apply to humans. There's no doubt about that. So caloric restriction with exercise is showing, if not gone overboard, again, don't go overboard. This isn't every single day, but it actually can increase mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of more mitochondria, as well as greater cellular cleanup, which is helping those white blood cells to clean house. Okay. This is also at this stage at 24 hours when misfolded proteins that can cause and lead to, or at least link to Alzheimer's can be cleaned up as well. So that's why, again, I talked about this in episode 1811 for a weekly 24-hour fast. Highly recommend it. For me, honestly, it's as easy as going Sunday night dinner with my family to Monday night dinner with my family. And then all day during the day, I'm just doing my DNS shakes or I'm just doing water herbal tea. Your choice. Honestly, it depends on how strong your body is, how it feels, and what's right for you. So if you're looking to preserve a little bit more, if you're looking to give your liver a little bit more detox support, you'll use the DNS shakes. Those are just daily nutritional support shakes in just one scoop at breakfast, lunch, and mid-afternoon. Until dinner, lots of water as well. Or you're just doing water fast, whatever works for you for that one day. But again, that's on 1811. All right, really important. So that 24 hours is what I call mass scale autophagy. You're getting autophagy at a much greater degree. Now at 48 hours, it's 2 days without food. All right, 2 days without food. I call this the body surges forward for life stage. Now here's why I say that. Because mTOR is fully downregulated, okay? So mTOR is downregulated. Ketones are being produced at a greater level now if they haven't already, because typically at 2 days for most people, not everyone, by 2 days to definitely 3 days, glycogen reserves have been depleted. So the body, instead of rapidly breaking down muscle tissue, actually, I shouldn't, let me just correct one thing just in a moment. I'll talk about that. But what's happening is the liver glycogen, so your sugar stores have been depleted. Now the liver is starting to produce more ketones. Ketones are being used for brain fuel and body fuel. And at this point, a lot of people like to say, well, you become more fat adapted. Remember, you're fat adapted even when you're not producing ketones. I just want to make that perfectly clear. Your body's producing, using more fat than anything else overnight, as long as your blood sugar levels are stable or lower than essentially 100 at night. So again, you're always fat adapted. Please don't think that you are not. That is marketing gimmick. You're always fat adapted unless you have blood sugar dysregulation. And when blood sugar is high, yes, then you're not going to be fat adapted. But again, you just want to, again, healthy people who don't have type 2 diabetes are fat adapted. That's just the way that it is. Your body works with glucose and it works with the anaerobic part of the body, anaerobic with glucose and aerobic more with oxygen and body fat burning. And that's normal. Like that's your body's tapping into both and using both fuel sources during the day. But at this point, now your body's saying, okay, we're in a stage right now where we need to create what we'll say is a backup fuel source, and that's ketones. And your body can survive on it, no doubt about it. Potential body aches, potential headaches, potential grogginess and brain fog as your body is switching from being able to use the last of its glycogen to now having to switch over to glucose. We also see at this point probably the lowest peak, getting towards the lowest peak in insulin. And when this happens, once you make it past that, they call it sometimes the keto flu stage, you're actually able to then get a lot of the anti-inflammatory benefits that may benefit you in terms of, let's say, immune dysregulation, autoimmune issues, et cetera. Again, I'm not providing any medical advice, any treatment plans here or cures, but once you're at the 2-day mark, like after, at dinner time, let's say your second day of, let's say, our functional medicine detox, you're already there. So this is also, you're going to get a surge. That's why I call it the surge for life. You're getting the surge of ketones, but you're getting a surge of growth hormone. So natural growth hormone is being produced to a greater level at this point. And we're doing that because the body is producing more of the hunger hormone, ghrelin. So the body's saying, okay, we're hungry right now. It's been 2 days. We need to be able to get out there and find food. We're having higher levels of growth hormone. Let's keep the muscle mass preserved as we're producing more ketones and as we're tapping into more and more body fat stores. Let's make sure we're not losing that muscle mass as well. All right, that's 48 hours. And the last stage here at 72 hours. We're only doing 5 stages. At 72 hours, things change, okay? So at 3 days, that's why, 3 days is the maximum I like without it being medically supervised, okay? So 3 days, here is what's going on. I call it survival mode kicks in. So we had the initial drop in mTOR, which is the anabolism, and that's so cellular cleanup can take place. No problem at all. We have the initial surge of growth hormone. We're using ketones at this point, but at this point, the body actually switches. It says, okay, we're now in serious lack of food. We've depleted our glycogen levels. We're doing our best to control blood sugar, low blood sugar for most people. We're using ketones as a fuel source, as a backup fuel source. Autophagy has already been doing its job. And now we're trying to survive because there's no real calories coming in. So what do we do? Well, the body actually says we need to preserve muscle mass or this person's going to be stripping their metabolism very quickly. They're going to be losing lots of muscle mass quickly because the muscle in your body actually contains what? Amino acids, which are needed for life, but also it contains glycogen. So in order to really stop that process, there's a bunch of things that take place, but what happens is this. There's something called pKa. That's called protein kinase, basically, is what we're using it for short. CAMP or CAMP, dependent protein kinase. So what's happening now is that along with IGF-1 are starting to decrease. Okay, so that's insulin growth like factor 1. Just think of it as growth hormone. And what we actually have now is mTOR is being signaled to increase. So all of a sudden, the body's going from its AMPK catabolic stage, breaking the body down, cleaning house, to now saying, okay, yeah, we're going to continue to clean house, but we're going to increase mTOR because we need some anabolism here, which means we need to keep the body building up. We can't lose all of our muscle mass because if we do, no strength, hormones are going to start to decrease. Bad thing happens in the body because it's hard to get that muscle mass back. Osteoporosis, when you start to lose bone mass, etc. So mTOR actually switches back on after 3 days to a greater degree. This is also why, because it's in direct correlation with your hunger hormone, ghrelin, you actually then start to feel less hungry after 3 days of fasting. And a lot of people feel this when they've gone keto, etc. But again, it doesn't mean that you want to do this all the time. It just means that this is how the body works, and it actually works really well. So what happens? Well, now you're not feeling as hungry. mTOR has started to kick in on its own. Ghrelin levels may be decreasing. That hunger hormone may be decreasing. For a lot of people, I've done a long-term fast. I've talked about that on last week's show as well. You can tune in for that. And at this point, when we're reducing basically at 3 days IGF-1, so growth hormone, and we're reducing PKA, the protein kinase, we are improving the body's stress resistance, and we are moving into a regeneration stage of what are called stem cells, or the hematopoietic stem cells. And I just 2 Fridays ago talked about this on my Friday review about what is this key to rejuvenate in the body. Like, what is the fountain of youth? Well, they're looking at it right now. It's like, what happens when they put in the stem cells from young mice into older mice? What happened was we started to see rejuvenation across the body. It's these stem cells, if they're undifferentiated, are actually moving towards parts of the body to rejuvenate it. That goes for organs. It goes for all sorts of different cells in the body. Pretty amazing research. Now, our body does that automatically at that 3 days. So this is why, again, you don't want to do this all the time. I recommend it quarterly. Some people might do it monthly. But if you can get to a 3-day fast, again, it's not for everyone. You have to start with 12 hours, then 18 hours. How'd you do? Then let's say Sunday night to Monday night, like I do, once a week, 24 hours. How are you doing? Okay. Then can you get to this stage? Because you can see here, again, it's not for everyone. You have to ease into it. But if you can do it, the results can be absolutely astounding. So this is exactly what happens to your body scientifically when you are fasting. So this is also something that our IHPs and other people can use to say, like, your body says, or your family says, you're going 3 days with just these detox shakes or these specific things. And you say, yes. And here's why. This is exactly what's happening. So again, if this show's helpful and someone wants to know the science behind it and how you can really stave off a lot of these degenerative-based issues, things like Alzheimer's, etc., you have to understand is like your body knows how to do this. We live in a world of mass consumption. Sometimes we need to take a break from that. And if we do, the results can be pretty fantastic. So hopefully the show was helpful. If it was, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. And all of the show notes, all the previous shows, the different links will be at stevencabral.com/1818. That's where everything will be. And if you want to check out the specific quarterly detox that I just did, and I do every 12 weeks, you can go to equi.life, that's EQUI.life/detox for more information. Take care, everyone. Before you go, I'd like to share with you what we have going on over at Equilife. Equilife is the equivalent to my private practice that has now been brought online and is virtual to be able to greater serve people all throughout the world. We literally ship at-home lab kits and protocols to over 25 different countries, and we've been doing that for many years. So what I'd like to do is share with you right now a special offer over at equi.life. That's our website, EQUI.LIFE. And it truly embodies, as I said, our private functional medicine and integrative health practice. So what we are offering right now are the same exact labs we use inside of the private practice. And that is, to you, it's essentially open sourced so that you can find your own levels of your vitamins, whether you need more or less, minerals, more or less, heavy metals, whether you need to be doing a heavy metal detox. We can look at gut function as about the overgrowth of bacteria or yeast or parasites, H. pylori. We can look at your hormone levels to see if you're balanced in terms of estrogen and progesterone, testosterone levels, DHEA, that nice anti-aging hormone. We can look at your cortisol levels. We can look at that cortisol to see if you have high or low energy. We can look at your thyroid and so much more, like food sensitivities, mitochondrial function, detox function, environmental toxins, you name it. If you don't know about these labs, or if you've been thinking about running a lab, I would highly recommend you and your family head on over to equa.life/labs. Right now, while supplies last for each lab, we are offering $100 off every single lab. That means all single labs are $100 off, plus you're also getting a 30-minute health coaching call with that, so that we can not just run the lab, but actually read the results to you, let you know exactly what they mean and what you can do to go about rebalancing your body. There's really nothing else like it in the world. There's honestly not, because you would have to search out a functional medicine doctor or integrative health practitioner in your area, which of course you're always welcome to do. We are not against that by any means, but we want to make this process easy for you, your family, your loved ones. So right now, save $100 off all single labs that also come with that complimentary 30-minute health coaching call as well, to read your labs and get a plan that has been customized just for you. The website, once again, is equa.life, and you can go to equa.life/labs if you'd like to go directly there. Take care, everyone. And of course, you can always email us at support@equa.life with any questions.